Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully you're having a great week. It is Thursday again. Man, these weeks are flying by. I can't believe it's Thursday. Feels like it's literally just Monday. But before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist and the brand new GT Series drivers. With a driver in hand, speed alone can only take you so far. The perfect driver requires a blend of speed, launch, spin, and stability to deliver a consistently impressive distance. With Titleist's new GT driver, you'll experience total driving performance on every swing. Featuring a new seamless thermoform crown design and a split mass construction, GT drivers are purpose-built to optimize launch conditions at every point of impact. An enhanced speed ring and variable face thickness technologies come together to create GT's amazingly fast face. Find the center, and you'll hit speeds you've never seen. Hit it anywhere else, high, low, heel, toe, you'll find consistently impressive distance that keeps you in scoring position. I noticed about 4 miles an hour ball speed better, especially when I was out hitting it on the toe. So definitely very forgiving and definitely faster. And Titleist offers 3 distinct GT models designed for specific player types. Whether you want maximum performance, precise adjustability and control, or the ultimate spin-killing driver, you'll find a GT model that elevates your game. I was a GT2 guy. I want a little more launch, a little bit more forgiveness, and even a little bit more spin. So that went with me. And the GT3 was not a bad second, I'll tell you that. Experience a generational leap in performance. Learn more about each driver model and find a fitting event near you at Titleist.com. Titleist GT, a new class of driver. So, yeah, it's been a long week. I actually played 36 holes over the weekend last weekend, which was solid, and I didn't play well, but I did go out and play. Last week, I got through. I went and filmed some more 3-swing challenge stuff. If you haven't seen that, it's over on the Golf WRX YouTube page. Basically take a club, go out, 3 swings, and basically give it a review. And I know that's not like the most amazing thing in the world in terms of like the most in-depth review, but you can tell a lot from a club in 3 swings. So did like 4 more episodes of that. And then I played on Sunday with my dad. And it was actually just me and my dad. None of my brothers were down at the house. So it was just me and my dad went out and played 7 a.m. I think we got done in just like a 3 hours flat. I was about to say it might have been just under 3, but I think we hit 3 hours flat by the time we were completely done, and had a great time. My dad played awesome. He shot an 82. He just basically was just fairways and greens all day. He's playing a Ping G430 SFT that I gotta say it's probably the best driving gear at least I've seen from him. The guy is just hitting fairways all the time, which is pretty cool to see. But he played awesome. He shot an 82. I was on the back end of that. I shot a 92, and part of that was in the back 9. I made an 8 and a 9, which does not help your score whatsoever. So my 9 was a fabulous number 11, the par 5. I snap hooked a drive OB, dropped, reteed, hit it again, put it out there, kind of in the, I wouldn't say the middle of the fairway, but it might have been, I was on the left side of the fairway. Went to just lay up with a hybrid, flared it way right, found my ball that was 18 inches out of bounds by the white stake. So basically had to drop then. And then a little frustration, kind of hit a wedge a little bit fat, left it at the bunker, knocked it out, and made my 2-putt. And that was not a good one. It was just the same thing on the next par 5. Just hit a bad drive. I think it fell in bounds, but then hit one OB on the second shot. So I made a mess of a few holes, and it was just one of those days. Nothing was feeling good, nothing was right, and you just have those. So the handicap is definitely going up. I was what am I up to, like an 11-2 now, which is terrible. But I'm still in fun testing stuff, still going out and playing. So today we got 2 things to talk about. We're going to talk about the new TaylorMade P770 irons, which I've been playing a ton lately of. And then also the new Callaway Opus wedges. So I've been basically hitting both of those. But we'll start with the good old TaylorMade P770s. These are the 2024 model. And I think just in terms of style, they did a great job with these. I think they look really, really simple from the back. The badging there, which is just kind of a brush chrome with even more satin chrome kind of line through it with the P770 logo or P770 text, just a little TaylorMade T out on the toe. I think they did a great job. Really simple, really clean, nothing really on there. I mean, they look like a blade. I mean, I was watching Ian and Mike over on Club Champion Media, And I think Ian made a comment that if this was a forged blade and it looked like this, you'd be pretty happy with it. And I was like, I 100% agree. Looks really good. But the big thing, I mean, cosmetic is always great. But I think the biggest thing for me is what they did shaping-wise with this thing. The shaping on this, I think they did a great job over the previous model. The previous model, it had a lot of offset. It had kind of a rounded leading edge, and then it almost felt like out near the toe, like it swept up, like the way it was shaped. And from a dress, it just didn't look right, especially in the long irons. Short irons, were okay, but the long irons, it felt like it really had this kind of like sweepy toe look, almost like a little bit of high toe-ish type look to it. And I thought they performed really well, but I didn't really like the look. I thought they were definitely a step back from the originals. The originals had a great look. I've gamed those for a little while, and which I think were 19 or 20, and then those were 22s, and these now coming out in 2024. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, overall cosmetics, I think they did a great job. Now shaping, definitely very minimal offset on these, just a little bit on the irons. I mean, even when you set the 4-iron down, it looks really, really good. And then also they straightened up that leading edge, and that transition between the front of the hosel and that leading edge really cleaned up, really smooth. And they kind of fixed the toe as well, so it doesn't look like that toe is kind of flaring up. So really classic look. I think they go back to that, 2019, 2020 look with these. And for me, I'm really happy with that. I think that's a great look. Looking down on these, I like pretty much every club from 4-iron down to pitching wedge. I think they look really solid, and they did a nice job. I really like it. I mean, it'll be cool to see if they do a black version of these, like they did a black of the P770s before. But in this chrome type finish, like I said, they kind of nailed it with this, with being a hollow body design and having all that tech packed into a package that looks pretty small. You can put it up against a lot of players. I'll call it players distance irons. You can put it up next to a T150. You can put it up next to a 0317 T. From PXG, you can put it up to pretty much anything. Adele, SMS Pro. I mean, you can throw it up against a lot of like forged cavity backs and similar irons, and this thing like holds its own in terms of looks. And then in terms of looks, not only that, but I mean, it's a P770, so it is hollow bodied, built very similar to the P790, but just in a smaller package. So this thing is multi-material, so it's got a forged body on it. Or it's got a body on it, and then it's got a face. It is forged. I don't know if it's both piece forged or just one, like just the body or just the face. But the face is totally redesigned, so it's a little hotter. The body there is built for more stability and more control, and it's all packed together there. It's got the speed slot in it that goes from 4 down to 8-iron, and then from 8, I think it's 8, 9, and pitch do not have any speed slots in them. And much like the P790 this year, where they did the flighted CG, FLTD CG, basically this has the same thing. So where the P790, they kind of showed that every iron was designed differently to make sure that the CG was right where they wanted it. So the long irons flew high, or the short irons had a penetrating, more controlling flight, and then the long irons had a very high and easy to get in the elevate flight. These are built around the same thing, which is pretty nice. And then, yeah, it's... this one with there, and then it is, I believe, filled as well. They don't necessarily come out and say it with these irons, but it kind of shows it in some of their little presentations there. So in terms of filled, these probably are filled with some of that the speed foam. But overall, ton of technology packed into this thing. It's a small package, and I like that a lot. So overall, really like these. So as soon as they came in, I was like, wow, these look really good. The first thing I did was I took out the P7 CBs and did a little 3-swing challenge on those. But these went out, and I hit those pretty well, but these went out as an actual viable option. Took them out, and I was hitting them actually directly against my T150s. And honestly, the big thing I noticed was I'm trying to kind of fix 1 or 2 things in the swing. And as I've been doing that, I've kind of slowed down. So I'm not hitting stuff as far. So most of the irons, where a 7-iron was 160 carry for me, it was coming in at like 155 or a little lower, and basically almost every iron was kind of doing that, and I was hitting these, and I was basically hitting 159, 160 with these irons every time I had a good swing. So these made it in there, and then when I got into the course, I hit them really pretty solid, and hit some really good shots with them, and they kind of have become the gamers since then. I didn't switch anything out. The shafts are still the same, True Temper Dynamic Gold, mid 115 S300s. standard TaylorMade grips on here, everything. So just totally stock right out of the box. And I hit them pretty well, and I liked them so much that I took them to my guys' weekend. These were the gamers. These are what I played basically 3 out of the 4 days, and then I switched on the 4th day just to switch, and I probably shouldn't because I played awful that day. But these things went out there, and they just perform. They're just easy to hit. Now in terms of sound and feel, they're a little firmer than I thought. I think they're a little firmer than last year's in terms of center strikes and miss hits. I think you get a little bit of firmness. I think you get just a slight more click than you got with the previous versions. It's not offensive. It's not bad. It's just if you're going to hit them kind of side by side, you may notice that these are just a touch louder. They don't have, P7CB type softness and feel to them. You can definitely tell these have, they're definitely multi-piece. But yeah, you get a little firmness there, but it's not horrible. When you strike it solid, you definitely can kind of feel the ball compress off the face and definitely feel the ball jump off the face and start going. The center strikes, I haven't found anything yet that has shown, like any type of crazy flyers or hot spots or anything like that. When I was hitting them or playing them, when we went up north, we had some didn't really have terrible rough. I mean, most of that stuff around there was kind of wispy, heathery type stuff. But back around here, St. Clair Shores and Bella Vista, have been playing them. I've had tons of lies in the rough, have not had, anything that's really jumped on me or flew on me, yet. So nothing came out so hot that I, flew the green, whatever. I've flown the green, but it's mostly just because I hit it left. And when you do that, you just shut the face and smoke it left. So distance control has been really good. Height has been really solid. I think I haven't hit a ton of the 4-iron, hit a little bit, but the 5-iron down. The 5-iron is really solid. I can hit it off the deck, no problem. I can hit it off the tee. Ball flies high. It's easy to elevate. It's easy to get in the air, and overall produces a pretty nice, kind of slightly boring trajectory. It's got a little bit of sharpness at the peak of it as it falls, but then distance control and hits the green. Even with the 5-iron, the release is pretty minimal. It's easy to get the ball up in the air. But the nice thing is too is that you can flight these down with no problem. Like I've had to hit some lower shots, especially at Bella Vista with some tree issues and play stuff. If you caught the wrong side of the fairway and you've got some tree limbs there and have to play it low, you can do it with these. I've been playing 7-irons out of trees and through windows and things like that. So you definitely can flight these things down. If you're someone who works the ball, you're going to have no problem working it as well. Hitting high, high draws, high fades, playing it low if you need to, flighting it down into the wind, all that stuff does very, very well. I've put the speed spot slot to work as well. On miss hits, it's been a pretty good iron. Anything low in the face tends to go pretty well. Now, it doesn't jump straight up in the air, it doesn't go crazy high, but you do get some good distance out of it. And I've been pretty pleased with those low shots on the face. The flex of it. And I think all hollow bodies like that, as you miss it, that sweet spot it's just a little bit bigger because you carry just a little bit more ball speed when you're out on the toe or out on the heel, high in the face, something like that. But a lot of my misses have been out on the toe lately. And honestly, the carry's been pretty good. I've been just catching the front of the green or, just falling short right in the fairway in front. Or just maybe off to the right or the left, just in the rough, kind of there, depending on the shot. But the shots off the toe, they've carried really well. They've actually carried still a really decent ball flight. They've been getting in the air fairly easily. And honestly, it's one of those where it's when you look down at it and you look at a player's club and it lets you get away with some of the swings I've gotten away with, that's the big thing. It makes a guy like me who, should be a single digit if you practice more, but is slowly crept up as life has kind of changed over the years. An iron like this gives you the look and the confidence and that feel like, yeah, I'm not a bad player. And then when you put that bad player swing on it, it lets you get away with it. These things aren't crazy high spin, but I also wouldn't say they hit knuckleballs out there as well. So I think you do have some spin to control it. Landing into the green, I've actually thought again, even with the 5-iron and stuff like that, I felt like the release is really controlled. Short irons you can hit and even get them to spin back a little bit depending on the slope and the type of green. But I've had the 5-iron, I've hit that into a couple greens and hit and probably had, the 10 feet of release and done. And that was it, which for me is really good. I don't, you guys know I don't hit a super high ball. So having just that kind of release with a long iron like that, but then also with the short irons being able to kind of just bring it in there fairly high with a ton of spin, it just hits and checks up. When I was playing with them, a couple weeks ago, just at St. Clair Shores, even on the par 3, hit 7-iron into a par 3 that was, 160 or 161, and the ball hit the green and just literally hopped right of the ball mark. So distance control has been pretty good. Whether out of the rough or out of the fairway, I felt that you have good control over the ball. I know with some of these, players' distance irons, you get some of those lies in the fairway, those flyers, and you hit them into the green and they just fly. I haven't had anything like that yet. But I'll keep testing that out because I haven't been in the fairway a whole ton. But shots out of the fairway, easy to control. Again, if you want to hit it high, low, anywhere, you'll be able to kind of work the ball with these with just about no problem. Yeah, miss hits have been solid. The turf interaction is good too. I mean, turf interaction, these soles are not crazy wide. I mean, they're not blades either, but they're not crazy wide, and they definitely are slightly resigned. They have a little bit of trailing edge relief. So as you kind of get through the turf, it kind of releases the club through. And I played in some fairly wet conditions. We've had a decent amount of rain around Metro Detroit, so the courses up here are all fairly soft. And so far, I haven't had a problem with digging. I mean, compared to say, a ZX7 with the Tour V sole, yes, it's got a little deeper divot than that. But I would say I'd put it right on par with my T150s or any of the other irons that I've been kind of hitting. They definitely do a little bit better than the PXG 0317Ts. They're probably on par with the T150s. And I'm trying to think what other iron sets here that I've been hitting a lot. And I mean, they're not quite as good as maybe the Adele's, but that has kind of a really aggressive kind of sole design on it. So it's right there with a lot of other player irons. But it gets through the turf pretty quick. And takes a fairly shallow, I'll call it a medium-sized divot, medium to medium-small divot. So turf interaction has been really solid. But I've liked these things from the whole set. I like the fact, because some people, when I first started playing them, said, well, why don't you combo up the P7 CBs and do those in the short irons and, these in the long irons? And to be honest, I mean, I could. You'd have to mess with the gap probably a little bit, wherever you're going to break it up. These are just a little bit stronger. In terms of the 7-iron and stuff like that, and this is a 33-degree 7-iron. The P7MB, I think it's a little bit lower than that. No, they're the same actually. So 33, 33, but these definitely have a hotter face. So you would probably have to tweak this back just a touch to get it to kind of line up. Nothing big. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to do, and honestly, the shaping I think is really good. You'd be able to combo these up with P7CBs with no problem. So I did hit him on my launch monitor as well, just because I was out hitting balls one day before I went to my guy's trip. And for me on these were just, again, the standard dynamic gold mid 115 shaft. I was seeing launch around 17.4, spin 5,995, and this is with a 7-iron. Ball speed of 111.8, so I mean basically 112, just under, and a carry distance from good to bad shots, everything at 155.9. So when I looked at my average of some of the other clubs, this was beating out the T150 by just a few yards. When you look at everything, and when I go and hit balls, I don't take away the missed shots. If I hit it off the toe, hit it off the heel, hit it thin, whatever, I'm going to leave those shots in there. I mean, unless it's absolutely like shanked or whatever, and it goes 110 yards in the air, like that, I'm going to get rid of. But anything that I hit reasonably solid, I'm going to leave in there. So 155.9 was pretty solid, and I was hitting some other irons out there, and this was beating everything but like one. I think maybe the I-530 was going further, but it had a substantially less amount of spin. So, but overall, I've been a huge fan of the P770. I think forgiveness-wise, it's really stable. When you do miss-hit it, the ball seems to go pretty straight. Now, I mean, I can snap hook them left with the best of them. That shot is still there, and it's still scary. But shots that are just missed, when you're just hitting off a little off the toe, a little off the heel, a little low, those shots are still going pretty straight. Dispersion is pretty darn tight. And honestly, even playing recently, just missing greens. I mean, I've been missing it by a couple yards. I mean, I'm blowing it 20 yards right or 30 yards right or something like that. I'm just missing, just right, just left, and then, kind of requiring myself to hit some decent wedge shots to get it up and down. So the new TaylorMade P770, I think is really good. I think they definitely, improved it from last year. I've been gaming these for the past, I don't know how many rounds I put on them. I'll put at least 10 rounds on these in the past few weeks. So I've been a big fan. They're probably not going anywhere. I'm going to actually have to let a guy at the office hit them because he's going to want to, but I'm probably going to have to steal them back from him because these things are super, super solid. So been a huge fan. The P770 has been in my bag for a little bit. I'm looking forward to keep hitting them. I might reshaft them with something. I don't know what yet. Just kind of think of, maybe I want to fly just a touch higher. So maybe I will reshaft them with something. I don't know what. We'll see. But even so, the way they are now, really, really good. And I think TaylorMade did a huge, huge improvement on these irons. So that is the brand new 2024 TaylorMade P770 irons. Definitely, if you want to check out more, go to TaylorMadeGolf.com. Check out the P770 and the P7SCB. Both of them are really, really good. But this thing has been a really solid option for a guy looking for cheater-type irons, something that easy to hit, but also looks like a player's club. So TaylorMadeGolf.com, check out the brand new TaylorMade P770 iron. Hey, did you know that Olai Golf has a brand new shoe called the McKenna? It's the next generation for Olai Golf. The outsole is plated for maximum traction, and its spikes are actually inspired by the waves in Hawaii. They're fully waterproof design, so no matter if you're playing early, get to catch in the dew, or you get caught in that rainstorm, your feet are going to stay dry no matter what. They're tested on some of the best courses in Hawaii, so you know that statement's going to be true, and they're going to be comfortable. A good walk is emblemized on the outsole for that famous quote, "Golf is a good walk spoiled." Listen, we believe in walking, so these are designed to keep you comfortable on your feet well beyond 18 holes. So if you need to catch that emergency 9 or, you're all square after 18, hey, go play that 36, that extra 9, that extra hole. You're going to be comfortable, and your playing partners may not be. So go to Olai.com, Olukai.com, and check out the brand new McKenna golf shoe. So then we go, we got the irons there, and then we go into some wedges. So these are the brand new Callaway Opus wedges. So yeah, the brand new Opus. I know we kind of saw these on tour. It was pretty interesting talking to Dave Neville over there when he did that. We had all these pictures from Greg and Tursky out on tour, and they had wedges they were Jaws wedges, but they said S6. And that was an Opus wedge. Just it was the shaping, the design, the sixth shape, and those are all Opuses. So Opus has actually had a bunch of tour use and all that. But yeah, they're making 2 models, the Opus and Opus Platinum. This is going to be, if you're watching this on YouTube, the standard Opus here. I have hit the Platinum as well, both 60 degrees. When you get media samples, you don't get, every single loft. So I've just been kind of testing lob wedges out there. But yeah, the new Opus 60, I hit this one and the Platinum. Basically, the difference is the Platinum it has this tungsten weight bonded to the top of it. So it offers a little lower ball flight while still maintaining a lot of spin. Standard Opus does not have that. Both are still metal injection molded created. So basically, a metal injection mold. It's kind of exactly what it sounds. You're shooting metal into a mold to create these things. And yeah, they've got a cool little design. Pretty simple, pretty clean. I think they did a nice job there. Definitely added a bunch of options in terms of sole grinds. I wish the Platinum series had a few more, and I wish the Platinum went up to a gap wedge. But as Dave kind of explained, when you get into those kind of wedges there, you don't necessarily need it. But these ones here, a ton of options. Everything from 50 to I think all the way from 48 down to 60, and then the Platinum's 54 to 60. So you have kind of a bunch of different options there. These are going to be done in the chrome that I have here, black shadow and raw. So the nice thing is you'll be able to get raw Opus wedges. There's a custom order only, but you'll be able to get them. And then in the Platinum, you'll be able to get this Platinum chrome and a Platinum blue, and they both look really, really good. So yeah, I've had the lob wedges out. In the Platinum, I had the 60 Z grind, which is I think 8 degrees a bounce, and this one here is a 60-12 W grind, so the wide sole guy. But the big story on these is, one, launch. These are meant to produce kind of a lower ball flight with high spin. And then the face is basically built all around a spin gen face. So the face is built around a couple different things. You've got a new groove in there, and then which is kind of smaller and tighter. You've got a few more grooves on there. And then they've got basically a kind of a laser milling kind of extra groove as well. And it's actually put at an angle to produce more spin, especially if you're kind of opening the face. It kind of plays with that. And then it's got a kind of an aggressive bead blast finish on there, media blast finish to roughen up the face a little bit. So a bunch of different options to create spin. And then the rest of the sole, a few different sole grind options. And yeah, they're pretty nice. I do have to say, out of the two, the W grind is more my game. The Z grind is definitely more versatile. I was hitting the 60Z. That 8 degrees of bounce for me is just a little bit tough. I am shallower with my lob wedge, but I just never really got comfortable of where to play that Z grind perfectly. It's got a nice kind of beveled pre-worn leading edge. It's got some trailing edge and heel and toe relief, and you can kind of open that up a little bit. You can press it forward. It's got kind of all that stuff, and then this W grind is just kind of a wider grind. The front angle, kind of where you got that leading edge, definitely has a little more kind of roundness to it, and it'll get through the turf pretty well. And this thing, you can kind of, I found with wedges, I like stuff that I can really kind of thump it into the turf, and this W grind, you can definitely do that. Now, you open up the face, and yes, the leading edge is going to come up. If you play really firm, hard fairways, it's going to be tough to get that leading edge down if you're trying to play a wide open kind of flop shot. But out of the sand, plays really well. A lot of float there, easy to get through even fluffy sand with no issues. And yeah, in terms of performance, I think these things spin really well. I had them out there against, or next to these lob wedges next to my Vokeys, the SM10s. And in terms of getting the ball to check up from pretty much any lie, whether you're hitting out of the rough, out of the trap, you're hitting it out of the, a nice tight fairway lie, these things spin really well. They produce a good amount of spin. Stuff out of the fairway, you can definitely get these things to check up fast and hard. You don't, if you're not flying it to the hole, you better fly it pretty close, because you're not going to get a ton of rollout out of these. Especially in these lob wedges with these pretty aggressive grooves. Out of the rough, you'll definitely get a little more release, but you're still going to have some controlled roll out there. So like when you hit it, you kind of, it's kind of when you look at the green, you kind of see the shot, and you're like, I'm going to land it here, it's going to roll out to there. That is really predictable with these wedges. Like it definitely, unless you're hitting it onto like a downslope, you're going to get the ball to release at a fairly easy clip there, or a fairly predictable clip. You'll know kind of where it's going to stop, and it usually always does. I found these things to be really consistent in terms of spin and stirring that kind of stopping power on the green. And that's everything from little pitch shots around the green, from carrying a bunker to close to full shots out in the fairway or out in the rough, and hitting those shots into the green. So the closer you get to full shots, the harder these things are going to spin, and the harder they're going to check up. Out of the rough a couple times at Bella Vista, and those greens are fast. Hit kind of more close to full shot, because I'll never swing this thing full, but let's call it like a 40 or 50 yard shot. I'll hit this thing in terms of the 60, and that ball checks up really hard. It definitely stops within a foot or two of where it lands, even out of some pretty thick, nasty rough. On the fairway, you hit it, and it stops immediately, and if there's any bit of slope, you're probably going to hit it and spin it back just a touch. I'm not the most powerful, high-speed guy, so I don't, sit there and zip balls back, 5 feet or anything like that. But, if you are a player who generates that kind of speed, you're definitely going to be able to do that. But yeah, the spin out of there, and pretty much all over the face. Like, I tend to miss off the toe. That's my miss, is there, or low on the face. Like, those are my two shots. And both shots with both wedges, those have come out with a good amount of spin. They don't check as hard, and they don't quite fly as far. But those shots are definitely playable. You can definitely get them onto the green, or just around on the fringe, something like that. You're rarely seeing a huge drop off in terms of distance or spin, and having a ball that just rolls to the green or anything like that. But yeah, off the fairway, if you nip it and hit it solid, you're going to be a shot that's just going to stop. It's going to hit the green. It's done. So you better have hit it to the hole, or played it below the hole the amount you wanted to, because it's not going to release and get up there at all. So their spin gen face definitely really works. I think it's solid. Whether it's wet, whether it's dry. Of course, dry, you're going to see better performance. But even when it's wet, this ball grabs the ball pretty well, and gets it to spin. The overall feel of the wedge is good. I think they're really soft. The Platinum has just like a slightly more solid feel. These are really soft. They feel really good. There's just something about that Platinum one. I don't know if it's having that tungsten high up or what, but it just has a slightly more solid feel. And it was interesting, because I was talking to somebody who's a big fitter that I really respect, and they were talking about how they feel different. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, the Platinum one feels a little bit better. And he was dead right. It's not crazy. It's nothing huge. The regular Opus doesn't feel bad by any means. I like this, like I'm holding the regular one now. I would have no problem playing this in W grind over the Z grind. Zero. The feel portion of it, it's not that big of a deal. But if you hit them side by side, you will probably notice that the Platinum feels just a touch different, and to me, it's just a touch more solid. I mean, feel's always subjective, same with sound. But both these, they do feel just slightly different, and that Platinum definitely feels just a touch, a touch more solid. The other thing too is the Platinum, for me, I think launches lower. I mean, hitting 60 versus 60, I know they're two different soles, sole grinds, but that 60 came out just a little bit flatter in the Platinum version. Shifting that tungsten up, I think it really does do something. You can kind of see that lower trajectory where this still had, a good flat trajectory, carried a ton of spin. The Platinum was even more so. Like, it was able to flight that ball down even more. So I can only imagine, between a 56, a 60, being able to kind of hit those shots. But 60 versus 60, definitely noticed that the Platinum, Opus Platinum, had that flatter, more penetrating ball flight. And when you hit the green, it still spun hard. Checked up. You could hear it like almost grabbing the grass without the amount of backspin that they were putting on the ball. But yeah, feel and sound really good. This one here, when you hit a dead center, you get that good kind of thud feeling. As you move out there, you'll start to notice a little bit more click as you miss it out on the toe or low or in the heel. The Platinum, the same thing. When you hit a dead center, it's just got this solid thud that just has a little less vibration, a little deeper sound to it. And then out on the toe heel, kind of similar thing. You're going to get a little more clickiness there. You're going to hear that shot and kind of feel a little bit more vibration in that, which is not unexpected. I mean, when you're out there hitting clubs and you miss it off the toe or you miss it low in the face, you're pretty much expecting that, you're not going to get the most amazing feel out of that club. But the sole grinds, like I said, the Z grind, really versatile. You can kind of play that in a bunch of different ways, hit a bunch of different shots with it. And if you're somebody who wanted to, kind of manipulate the face a little more, it's a great option. In the Platinum, there's still also the S grind, which is still kind of fuller sole. Trailing edge gets kind of, lopped off or sanded down on the back there, where when you get into the standard Opus, they've got a T grind, a C grind, an S grind, and a W grind. So if you want low bounce, the T grind, everybody seems to be pretty hot on. Good amount of trailing edge, toe and heel, and trailing edge relief. That one you can really open up. Leading edge stays down and tight. But it does take a little bit more precision. Where the W, you're not going to open it up like crazy, but you'll also be able to get a little forgiveness if you're just a hair behind the ball. This sole's going to get through quicker and not dig near as much as, say, the T grind. Then this sole here, again, around the greens, I thought it was great. I just kind of sweep it into the ground, kind of thud it in there right as I hit the ball, and it takes these shallow little divots that are about 3 inches long. Just enough to skim the grass right at the top, and then full shots or closer to full shots in those 40 to 50 yard kind of things. The divot stays pretty shallow. It's pretty flat, pretty shallow. It doesn't get down and hard into it, and it gets through that turf fairly quickly. Now the Opus Platinum with the Z grind, for me, I did notice. I mean, even with that pre-worn leading edge, that does help. The divot was just a little bit deeper than with this. I mean, the leading edge is a little bit sharper. It'll tend to get into that turf. It doesn't want to get out quite as fast as the W grind, but that's expected. So the different grinds, play a little differently, but the overall really solid wedges. I think, if you're somebody who wants to kind of play at a bunch of different shots, have that kind of flighted down control, the Opus or Opus Plus is going to be really good. And honestly, they spin really well. So where they're not going to tear the covers off the ball at the old square grooves, they are going to offer you really consistent control, spin around the green. And I wish I had more, skill with the wedges. I can tell you, this consistency and hit it from here. But everything I hit with this thing, especially the W grind, when I put this in play, because the Platinum with the Z, I had some good shots. I hit some really good shots with it. I was able to do some things, but then putting this in, it just brought it up another level. I hit I was just way more consistent with it. I was definitely closer to the green or closer to the hole. I was getting balls on the green that, I may have, slid under a little bit and caught it high in the face. The ball dropped, but not these here. This thing definitely was more of a solid option for me. And even though I like the feel of the Platinum a little better, I would have no problem playing the standard Opus if the grind was better for me, like this W in the 60s. So if you're looking for some new wedges, the shaping is really good. I think they did a nice job, just slightly rounded leading edge. It's nothing crazy, and I love, kind of like SM10, there's no, as they call it, the hook. When you go in from the hosel into that leading edge, there's no like little divot or bend or anything like that. It pretty much has zero offset, just a hair of a rounded leading edge, even in the 60. And the overall shape is, it does look a little bit bigger. It's not crazy compact in the standard Opus. It's a hair bigger, hair rounder. So if you love really tiny looking wedges, this probably isn't. This may catch your eye a little bit. But yeah, it's got a little roundness to it, but that leading edge being straighter. I love the look of it. I think they did a really nice job. I like that there's pretty much no offset, and I love the fact that they're giving you kind of two different models with a bunch of different a bunch of different sole designs to kind of match your game. Because I know with Vokey it's a big thing. You can get a bunch of different sole grinds. And now being able to get it in here, I think only helps as well for players with different kind of shots, play different kind of conditions. They're either steep or not steep, or shallow. So any of those things gets to play into it. But overall, pretty impressive. I think these wedges are solid. This one here just had basically a dynamic gold mid wedge shaft in it, a mid 115 wedge shaft. The Opus has basically the same shaft, but in this kind of cool grayish gunmetal color. They did a nice job with that to kind of keep it, give it just a little different look. But overall, they did a nice job with these, and I think they're pretty good. I want to hit some of the other ones. I haven't hit like a 50, like a gap wedge or anything like that yet. But hopefully, I'll get my hands on some more Opus wedges and test those out. But right now, the higher lofted stuff, I think it's really good. I think it's really solid. I think Callaway did a really nice job with these, and I think people are you're gonna see more of these out on tour, more of these in bags, and I think once these are readily in stores, I think you're gonna see a lot of them in amateur bags as well. So Callaway Opus wedge, I think is really solid. If you go to CallawayGolf.com, you can go on there and check out all the different grinds they're offering and what lofts and what head, and then also all the different specs in terms of length, bounce, all that, swing weight, everything. So, yeah, just an overall really solid wedge. I think they did a nice job with it. I like the shaping and everything way better than Jaws Raw personally. Jaws Raw to me looked like a little stretched and had kind of the toe was a little bit flared in a sense. This, I think, just has a great look to it. So, big improvement to me. I think the spin is really good. That speed or spin gen face with combining kind of all the different technologies, I think definitely works. And you're going to see some consistent control out of wedges like these. So, CallawayGolf.com. Check out the brand new Opus wedges. And yeah, that's all I've got. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. I know it's cliche and I hate saying it, but it definitely helps. And then wherever you're listening to the show, man, wherever you're listening to the podcast, please like, subscribe, whatever, 5-star it, any of that stuff. It definitely helps out. So the bigger I can kind of grow a little bit of this, the more stuff I can get my hands on. So which I think only helps all of us because we can talk some gear. But that's all I've got. So if you're not following me on Instagram, I did a big Q&A yesterday. Thank you for everybody for the questions. I try to do that every single week as long as I'm not traveling. But at Club Junkie Pod, and yeah, ask some questions. We'll do it again next week, probably Wednesday. And yeah, but that's all I've got this week. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend plan. Hopefully you get out and play some golf. I'm going to try to, but it's supposed to rain. So maybe I'm going to test out my main rain jacket. I do have a new rain jacket. I could go out and test that bad boy out. So anyway, you guys have a good weekend. Have a good week. And we'll talk some more golf next week.